There are all sorts of ways to engage our students. For example, consider this comical movie clip from Father of the Bride that begins this math lesson.
Excuse me, sir, what are you doing?
I'll tell you what I'm doing. I want to buy 8 hot dogs and 8 hot dog buns to go with them. But no one sells 8 hot dog buns. They only sell 12 hot dog buns. So I end up paying for 4 buns I don't need. So I am removing the superfluous buns. Because I'm not paying for one more thing I don't need. George Banks is saying no.
After we have hopefully captured the attention of our students with the engaging video, we can present the challenge. So how many packages of hot dogs and hot dog buns should he purchase so that there are no extra hot dogs or hot dog buns? And we are going through this problem quickly, but this would be the time to let the students participate in some productive struggle. And we might have a slideshow set up so that each student has a dedicated page in the slideshow where they can import a picture of their pencil and paper work. You can also pair students here if you would like more than one student working together. And once they have imported a picture of their work into their slide, you can then go through the slides and purposefully choose work that you would like to compare together. Once you have the student representations that you would like to compare with your students so that you can encourage student thinking and dialogue, you can clip them and post them together in one slide so that students can make connections and you can ask meaningful questions. You can find this language and math routine in the link provided below. Some examples of questions you might want to ask or how you might want to ask questions is to compare representations. So for example, you might start by just asking, what do the numbers 8 and 12 represent? Because we see those numbers in every one of the drawings. You might want to ask, why are you adding 8 here? Or why are you adding 12? Or what number does 24 represent? And allow students time to be able to explain their thinking. How many packages of hot dogs and packages of hot dog buns will you need for 24 hot dogs? You may ask for students to explain what these drawings are. So these drawings and where you would see these representations in this model right here. So are these representations somewhere in here? And have students think about that. And then if you look over here, this student has uncovered the least common multiple, which is perhaps where you would take your lesson from here so that you have exposed content that you would want students to know about. The idea here is to engage your students through language and math routines to purposefully get them thinking and talking. We can also engage our students by asking questions in thoughtful ways. Imagine for a moment that you want your students to find the volume of this rectangular prism. In this situation, the calculation would be simple: 4 centimeters times 2 centimeters times 3 centimeters, or length times width times height. But if we change how we ask our students, say for example, we ask them to use a paper and pencil to create a rectangular prism with a volume of 24 cubic centimeters, we not only allow them the productive struggle time to make meaning of the problem and build a conceptual understanding, but it also encourages multiple solution paths. While students might come up with the exact same prism as the one on the left, there are many additional alternatives. And no matter the subject, students appreciate agency, so consider opportunities for them to use menus, choice boards, and learning experiences that take into account their personal interests. In addition to academic engagement, it is critical that we think of the social-emotional well-being of our students. Luckily, as far as lesson design for online learning is concerned, there is an outlined place to start. We are including a link to this document that outlines the 3 signature practices that we can include in our synchronous learning sessions. These are a welcoming inclusion, engagement strategies and brain breaks, and an optimistic closure. Let's say this is a slide deck for a lesson that you have built for your students. Let's take a look at the places where you might add the 3 signature practices for social emotional learning. For example, on slide number 4, we just have a quick check-in question where our students can get to know each other and we can do some community building. And then embedded throughout the lesson, we have routines for reasoning and routines for language, but we also have a time for a brain break, and we have different options for allowing students the time to take a break and have a little breather. And then down at the end of the lesson, we have a closure, and a closure can be something very simple, like what is something you learned from doing this activity today that may help you in the future. So it might be a little question about looking forward to the future or something about the lesson from the day. It can even connect to your welcoming inclusion. These 3 practices do not need to be built into a slide deck, but they are principles that you will want to remember during your synchronous sessions.